What's going on, everybody, and welcome to my review of the Elimination Chamber in Chicago. My name is Nomad Eric. Welcome to the Nomad channel. We do reviews of these. Will it be a long time until you see my face again, because we have 7 fucking weeks until WrestleMania. Why is WrestleMania so late in April? I don't know. But we have 7 weeks to build to WrestleMania. I can't wait to see what happens, but Elimination Chamber, I feel like, started off on a couple of storylines. Honestly, I thought as far as booking decisions go, I don't want to say it's the safest PLE, but honestly, it was probably the safest PLE that they've done as far as, like, winners and decisions and stuff like that. Some major things happened in the show. Of course, the internet fucking hates it for some reason. I feel like the weird thing with the internet is, if they make a risky decision, you guys bitch. If they make the safe decision, you guys bitch. I don't think you guys want them to be successful. I don't think you want to be happy. That's where I'm at with the IWC. I've been that way for probably the better part of the last year. But this PLE has just really cemented the fact, because everyone was bitching and crying that Cody Rhodes was going to win. And then when Cody Rhodes doesn't win, you all still bitch. We'll get to that in a little bit more. It's just very funny to me how you guys work. But as you can tell, I'm once again joined by Kane up top. Rob's reviews over on the side there. Tom's reviews are going to be at the top right there. Again, we're going to rate these from a scale of 0 to 10, with an A being a 10 or a 9, a B being an 8 or a 7, a C plus being a 6, C being 5, C minus being a 4, a D is a 3 or a 2, and an F is a 0 or a 1. And we have our very first one, but it only was reviewed by one person, and you will see what I'm talking about later. We're going to start the show off with the Women's Elimination Chamber match. This featured Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss. It featured Asuka. It featured Raquel Rodriguez, and a surprising participant, Kiana James, who I thought looked pretty fucking good in the show. If you pretend like you didn't see her whole nipple for a part of it. But I thought she looked excellent. I thought Raquel Rodriguez was probably the MVP of this match, in my opinion. I was a little bit shocked at how quickly Alexa Bliss got eliminated. I heard rumblings that she had something. I don't know. There's been a lot of rumors, but none of it's got any legs to stand on. I saw someone said that she had to leave for personal reasons, leave the building early or something. It was something I saw online, but I've seen nothing to verify that, so I wouldn't take anything into that. But that's just the one reasoning I saw. I just think they felt that it was just booked that way. It was just how it was booked. It was a way to give an elimination. I believe she was eliminated by Kiana James. So I felt like it worked. I thought it worked. It was the weirdest. It was the only elimination I thought was weird. I love the double stack pin to take out Asuka and Kiana by Raquel. Again, I thought Raquel was probably the MVP of the whole match. I feel like it's a safe winner with Rhea Ripley. I do believe that if you're looking at Jade Cargill and you're looking at who can actually give Jade a good match, we've already seen Tiffany Stratton versus Jade. I don't need to see that again, especially not at WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley always busts her ass to make WrestleMania a good match. Even when she's having a panic attack fighting Becky Lynch, who has the flu, the match still banged. So all in all, I feel like Rhea and Jade is the best match overall that you could have gotten out of these 6 women versus her. I would not be shocked if Tiffany Stratton doesn't find some way to get in the match and make it a triple threat, but I do believe if they keep this match a singles match, Rhea versus Jade can sing. I'm filming this today, about 30 minutes before Raw, and apparently there's some drama on Twitter between Jade and Rhea. And Jade decided to kind of step outside of kayfabe and talked about her crying to creative and shit like that. And then Rhea posted a really weird Instagram post about how you shouldn't break the fourth wall and stuff like that. I have no idea. I think Rhea thought it was going to be just innocent Twitter jabs like she's done before to build up the feud. And I think Jade took it too far or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not going to buy into it too much. I just know it's a little bit weird. So who knows? Maybe that match doesn't even happen. Maybe they punish Jade and take the strap off her before Mania. I've got no idea. But we've got 7 weeks to find out. Overall, I liked the match. I thought it was a solid 8 out of 10 showing, personally. As you could tell, Rob agreed, gave this match a high B, so he also gave this an 8 out of 10. Tom up top there said this is going to be a theme throughout these reviews. This match was good but safe. A predicted outcome, I do like to continue to push Raquel even if she doesn't win. I do agree with that as well. And then Kane posted a lot here. A fun and mostly well-worked match, but one that really felt like it was lacking a story or real stakes. Both women's main titles have all been but ignored for months, and Jade doesn't even feel like a champion. Rhea, Asuka, and Bliss have all been in the tag division. Because of this, they felt detached from the singles division. Raquel continues to do amazing work, but again, her storyline has been all about Valkyrie and her tensions with Liv over on Raw. It doesn't make sense from a compelling narrative within the match itself. Double Elim was awesome, though. Kiana James also had a great showing. There's nothing in theory stopping her from taking on Jade, but I don't think anyone was invested in her trying to get a win. Her spot was eliminating Bliss and getting her that merit. Tiffy was the obvious choice, but went with Rhea, and I can't blame them. Rhea versus Jade is a bigger match that could sell more tickets, which is all they care about currently. I don't blame them for this. They're a business, but this is an issue of their own making. Overall, 7 out of 10, a solid match, held back from higher scores by a stale creative. Kane has not been a fan of WWE lately. That's in case that wasn't obvious, and you'll see that more in a second. But overall, 7.75, so it's going to get an 8. Which, again, I think we all kind of felt like it was in that range, so that is a good score for that. Next up, we have AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch. AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch. Sorry, I got confused because I said that, and then I saw how Rob put it as Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee. I got all fucking confused. Personally, I love this match. I am a huge AJ Lee fan. I've been a huge AJ Lee fan since before she retired the first time. I love Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch is doing some of the best character work she's ever done. And honestly, her entire career, or at least modern career, last, I would say, 2 or 3 years. But I loved them. I guess I shouldn't say I loved. I liked how they designed the match. This is AJ Lee's first ever singles match, 1v1, where she's in the match the entire time. She's not out resting while her husband takes over during the mixed tag matches. She isn't coming in and only working for half of the match during the War Games and kind of being out of it for most of it. This is where she has to stand on her own and truly show that she has started to knock off the ring rust. They spent the first, 5 or 6 minutes of the match doing that. Working through the paces, working at a slower pace so AJ Lee could get her legs underneath her, sell a bit, take a few big bumps. She took some major bumps. It did look like she got the wind knocked out of her at one point when she took that superplex because she didn't really sell the arm bar very well. It was just kind of like a lazy sort of grasp to stop it. You could tell she was sucking in air while she was trying to do that. So that superplex took a lot out of her, but obviously she needs to take those bumps to really get back into the feel of things and really get back to wrestling on a regular basis. Hopefully she's back full time now that she's a champion and we don't have another part-time champion, but I really do think she's going to be back around, especially going into WrestleMania, because I think there's going to be a fatal 4-way for that title between her, Natalya, Maxine, and Becky, but we'll see how that develops. That's my own personal theory. Nothing's obviously been rumored. Personally, for me, I love this match. I gave this match a solid 7 out of 10. I thought it was a good showing for AJ Lee, which is what she needed coming back from retirement. Obviously, it wasn't quite as big or as a spectacle as I think that maybe AJ Lee and Becky could put on if AJ Lee has more, matches and she's not sitting on the bench for the next 7 weeks until Mania. If she's actively in the ring, she's actively taking bumps, she's actively involved and not just in promo segments for the next 7 weeks, I think the WrestleMania match could be even better because I can almost put money on the fact these two are going to run it back at Mania. But ultimately, I thought this was a great showing for AJ Lee's first ever match in a very long time. As you can see, Rob gave it a C+, so he gave it a 6. Tom agrees with, Tom gave it an 8 out of 10, saying, fun match, once again, predictable outcome. I really enjoy the theme of Lee getting Becky to tap out multiple times now to the same hold. Of course, in Tom's defense, that's her finisher. I don't think he realized that that's her finisher, but that is her finisher, the Black Widow. I love the fact that AJ Lee's a champion. I guess I probably should have said that in my review if she won. I love the fact that AJ Lee is a champion. she's been one of my GOATs of all time in the women's division. The women's division of today is not the way it is without AJ Lee, and so I'm really glad that she was able to actually get that title that didn't even exist when she was here last time. Of course, it didn't really exist until like 2 years ago, but still, I really just, like I said, I really loved the moment for AJ in general. Kane up top said, honestly, this is a pleasant surprise. While AJ isn't exactly hanging with the current generation as much as people hoped, she's still a great presence, and her and Becky worked well together and played off of the history with Becky and referee Jessica Carr. A little more shenanigans to cover up the ring rust never hurt anybody. A good moment for AJ Lee, 7 out of 10. I agree with Kane. I think they kind of made some shenanigans there with the rope and everything like that to kind of like really sell AJ getting back to going, but I also can't really, you can't really blame, I don't think you can really blame her from having ring rust. It wasn't like CM Punk where he went to AEW for a while. AJ Lee hasn't wrestled since she left. So this is completely starting from scratch for her. And I think because of that, maybe expectations are a little bit high. This does average out to a 7 because we have a 7, 7, 8, and 6. So it averages out to a 7. Again, a good spot for this match and a great showing for AJ Lee in her first match back. Next up, we have CM Punk versus Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship title. I love this match. I thought this match was excellent. This was an excellent showing for Finn. I thought the wrestling was great. I thought the clear story they were telling, the desperation for Finn, CM Punk looking slow, I think was intentional as he's sort of like winding down and was getting more tired and acting a bit more sluggish towards the end. I feel like it was designed that way because I feel like Roman, especially with Roman Reigns' tweet afterwards, I think that's what they're going to kind of push for this Roman versus Punk feud. And I think that Punk could honestly use it as fuel and be like, listen, I've been fighting every single week, where have you been? Type deal to Roman, and kind of throw it back in his face. I think it'll make the promos really fun for the two of them. But I thought this match was great. I thought it was very well booked. I thought it was well paced. I thought both got great offense in. Both looked excellent. It was the greatest hits for both of them. Finn Balor is definitely looking like he is at the peak of his career, even though I know he's in like his dawn years, if you will. But I really enjoyed this match. This was definitely Finn's best overall match in quite some time, honestly. And I really think that Finn needed this showing to show he can still go. I do believe Finn Balor will be a champion by the end of this year. Do I think he wins this title or maybe the Intercontinental title? I think the IC title is more likely. I'm very curious. Again, I'm filming this before Raw, so obviously this is going to go up after Raw, so you guys don't know the answer to this, but I really do feel like the ending of Penta versus Dom is going to tell me if I think Finn Balor wins the IC title at Mania or not. If he helps Dom retain it and then turns on Dom, I think he wins that title at Mania. But again, I'm very interested to see how that goes in general. Ultimately, I gave this match a solid 8 out of 10. I thought it was excellent. I had absolutely no problems with this match at all. The main thing was it was a very predictable finish. I guess kind of a slow finish, I think. I think it was very weird how it ended. He's like stomping on him, and then he picks him up and GTS's him. I don't know. Maybe they weren't sure if that's where they were going to finish it or not, and that's why they ended it there. But I feel like because of that finish, I kind of knocked it down from maybe the 9 I had it at to an 8. But I still think it was good. Rob gave it a low B, so Rob's going to give it a 7. Tom gave it a 9 out of 10, saying, my favorite match of the night. We all knew Finn was not going to take the W, but how he got there did a lot for his character, in my opinion. I hope they don't waste this setup. I agree. If they pull this off and they make him go against Dom, he's got to win the title. He's got to win the title. CM Punk versus Finn Balor over here for Kane. A really solid match that cemented the path of Finn Balor returning to being a babyface in the twilight of his career. I personally think Balor is wrapping things up soon, and this is the start of the storyline that sees him right off into the sunset or whatever is next. Likely putting the likes of Dom and JD over on the way. I could be wrong, and part of me hopes I am, but it feels that way currently. The ending of the match was a bit of a buzzkill after a solid bout, which killed the crowd, but I really enjoyed the storytelling and intensity, even if the result was a foregone conclusion with Michael Cole's newfound vocal stem of arguably the greatest main event in WrestleMania history. It's honestly a miracle the crowd were into it as much as they were when they did everything in their power to shill tickets to Mania for Punk versus Roman before, during, and after this match. Punk may have dressed up as my beloved Blackhawks, but even the power of the common Chicago L is too weak when it comes to pin Balor 8 out of 10. I really do love the absolute tiredness that Kane is with current WWE tactics. Overall, it's going to go up to an 8 out of 10. Rob's 6 and Rob's 7 and Tom's 9 offset. Me and Kane gave it an 8, so that's where it's going to go. Again, a good bout. I'm sorry for what you guys are about to see now, though, from Kane. Kane has specifically asked me to talk about this. You can see the boxes there. I didn't do a rating on this, and that's why I went ahead and took Tom and Rob's rating off the screen here. I'm going to let Kane's not here verbally, but we're going to put this over here for right now. And we're going to let Kane have a moment here to sort of vent his frustrations here. And the box was the pinnacle of Kane's problems with current WWE. I like Danhausen. First of all, for you guys that don't know, that didn't watch, the mystery box that they've been talking about for the last 2 weeks finally opened up. A coffin was inside, and Danhausen came out of it. Now, Danhausen is very famous for non-WWE only fans. Indies love him. AEW loved him. Everywhere he goes, he sells out. His meet and greets are always famous during conventions. They're always sold out. He is a great talent, a great character. But he's a comedy character, which works great in the indies, but the WWE already has R-Truth. They already really have Tozawa. Do we need a third-class clown? I don't know yet. I'm very interested to see where he goes from here and what he does. Maybe he has some good matches because he is a decent wrestler, but he's a better character. However, I don't disagree with what Kane is saying here, and I'm going to read what he said here because I really do feel like they used his entry as sort of a ploy to sell tickets, and then you release a character that anyone that only watches WWE is not going to know who the fuck it is. I like Danhausen. I'm reading Kane's here. I like Danhausen. Oh, dropped my phone. Seems like a great guy, but his gimmick by design is bad. Yet somehow, in spite of this was still awful. WWE has outpriced their fans, can't sell tickets like they used to, and are resorting to a bunch of mystery boxes, literally, to try and make up for bad booking. This was 40 minutes between the end. There was 40 minutes between the end of Punk versus Balor and the bell ringing for the Chamber. Only 5 of those minutes were the box. The rest were ads and entrances. Corporate greed and creative vagrancy, the curse so large even Danhausen couldn't cast it. Not very nice, just very evil. But hey, at least you can drown it down with some Wheatley American vodka, TM, then sober up with some Slim Jims, TM, and prime hydration, TM, while you board your flight to Saudi Arabia because it's Riyadh season, TM. I'm happy Danhausen has a job. I think as a character that likes the truth in Tozawa, he'll do great. But this is a waste of time, and it's killed his debut because TKO just needs to squeeze every last penny out of their customers before selling the company off again. I really do think Saudi Arabia is going to end up buying it at one point. That's going to suck. 1 out of 10. If I could rate it any lower without breaking the rating scale for Eric, I fucking would. Guess what? Tom, I got Kane, not Tom. You're Kane. Sorry, you're over there where Tom's reviews are, so that's where my brain went. But Kane, guess what? You can give this a 0. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do you a favor, and we have our second ever 0. The only other 0 was Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole in that WrestleMania match that made me want to actually stab my eyes out with metal blades. So, you know what, Kane? I'm going to allow you to... I know you said gave it a 1 out of 10, but I do have a 0 on the board. So we're going to actually give it a 0. I don't disagree with Kane, and I'm gonna use this moment to sort of like piggyback off of him, and then we'll talk about the men's chamber here. I don't disagree with Kane. Now, obviously, I've been accused of being a WWE shill because I've been very supportive of the company that I have invested a lot of time and energy and emotion into. And I tend to be very optimistic with WWE. I tend to see the good more than the bad because enough people are already talking about the bad. My issue with the IWC, and maybe that's why I'm more optimistic than others, is because I feel like the IWC has to be angry about something. They have to be mad about something. If things are going good, we've got to find the bad. That's it. However, all of Kane's critiques here are 110% accurate. I don't think TKO... Triple H takes a lot of the blame, but Triple H doesn't decide half this shit. Triple H just decides the creative. But TKO tells Triple H who they want pushed, who they want set down, who they want to hang around just long enough to sell them tickets, but we're not going to actually let them win. I don't give a shit if they go home angry. We just want them to show up. That's why LA Knight is in this match coming up. LA Knight wasn't going to win the chamber, but you know people are going to show up to see him. That's why Trick Williams is in the match. That's why Javon Evans was in the match. They weren't going to win, but you knew people were going to show up to see them. And that's the problem that I have with WWE booking right now. You could have excellent stories. You could have excellent matches. You can have excellent feuds. But you leave people hanging backwards. Julia is an excellent example for me. I was so fucking happy when WWE signed Julia because she was one of my favorite non-WWE wrestlers outside of Kenny Omega that wasn't in the WWE that I wanted to see wrestle. And they neutered her. She's not what she was back then. Oh, she's gonna hurt the... Fuck it! Let her hurt him. Like if you can't handle it, don't fight her. Like that's it. Don't handcuff Julia's entire offense. It's stuff like that bothers me. Ads are gonna be a thing. We live in corporate America. Ads are gonna be a thing. You can't really get, in my opinion. And again, Kane is not in America. Kane is in Wales. It might be different in the UK. I don't know. But here, it's gonna be a thing. Like it's gonna happen. Now the Riyadh season, that shit's getting annoying. I won't disagree with that one. But the rest of it, it's like, listen, maybe it's the American in me, and I'm so accustomed to ads being shoved down my gullet at all times that I don't notice that it's an over the top thing. Maybe that's just me. But that doesn't really bother me. I'm not gonna update you, Steam Deck. Go away. But that doesn't really bother me as much as everything else he mentioned. The prices. I bought tickets. I'm going to be at SmackDown Live in Raleigh on March 20th with my family. It cost me almost $500 for 4 tickets. And they weren't amazing seats. They were decent because I got them hella early. But those, because, I mean, the same seats that I got are now running almost $200 a piece now. So thank God I got them when I did. And I decided early that I was going to go because the tickets have almost doubled in price since I got them. He's not wrong there. Like, they're absolutely pricing it out. I think the booking has not been the best. I feel like Triple H, he's been treating the audience like they're stupid. And I think people are starting to catch on. Now, do I think all of his ideas that everyone else has panned has been bad? No. Gunther making Cena tap out? I don't hate it like everyone else does. Because it makes sense. I agree with John Cena's idealization or his understanding of it. But there are a lot of creative mistakes that I feel like they're making lately. And I don't know. I do agree with Kane here, and he didn't necessarily say it outright, but when he's talking about like bad creative and bad booking, they need a writer room mix-up or addition or something. Because right now, what they've got going on, it isn't hitting like I feel like it could. So I'm hoping that, you know what, maybe this was just a little flash in the pan and things get better here soon. But only time will tell. Anyway, all of that aside, it's now time to talk about the men's Elimination Chamber match featuring everyone I mentioned earlier: Randy Orton, LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Javon Evans, Trick Williams, and Logan Paul. Now, I know everyone's biggest complaint about this match is the fact that Logan Paul eliminated 3 people. Tom mentions it here in his review. It sucks less when you think about the fact that this was Bronson Reed's spot. And before then, it was probably Breaker's spot. I think Tom even says that straight up. So I'm willing to forgive that. You made the best out of a bad situation, and everything is still going to work back around to where you wanted it to. Seth Rollins ended up being the masked man after 2 of his... I looked this up. Both of the unmasked masked men are actually members of Seth Rollins' wrestling school. I wonder if they're going to be in WWE. Maybe that's his new vision. Maybe that's his new crew are actually unknown wrestlers. I think that'd be really fucking cool. But yeah, that was the masked man with Seth Rollins. He ends up stomping on Logan Paul, helps Cody Rhodes win. He's, I guess, back to being a babyface. Awesome. Babyface Seth Rollins is my personal favorite. I love heel Rollins when they do him right, but I miss face Rollins. I'm sorry. You can't be a heel if everyone is singing your song. It just doesn't work that way. So I'm glad we have Face Rollins back. I hope he's actually healthy enough to actually fight at WrestleMania, because he's back a little bit earlier than I thought he was going to be. Overall, I thought Javon Evans, I don't think got to shine quite as much as I was hoping he would, but I still loved his back and forth with Trick Williams, revising that rivalry. I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought Trick Williams looked amazing. LA Knight may never get pushed again after yet another botch off that corner spot. However, someone mentioned that Tiffany Stratton also slipped on that turnbuckle early on, but the cameras didn't really catch it. It was like actually someone on the crowd that saw it. And then what you did see was Finn Balor in that same corner was trying to taunt and slipped off the middle rope. So I think that corner might have actually been fucked up. So it might not 100% be LA Knight's fault that he screwed up that move off that corner. It doesn't help the fact that if you watch WWE Unreal, they were extremely harsh to LA Knight during the show. Now he botches this again, we might be seeing the end of LA Knight's run. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. If you're part of the Yeah movement, embrace for the ending, because I don't think he's going to be around much longer. I do think he's part of the post-Mania cuts. And I know that might seem like an extreme reaction, but I wouldn't be shocked. I'll be honest. I don't think he wins the title. But we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I like LA Knight. I think he'd be a decent transitional champion, or maybe have a decent summer run with the belt. But if he's cut after this botch, I wouldn't be shocked, as much as that sucks. But ultimately, I thought this match was decent. I actually loved the winner. I loved that Randy winning. I just didn't really... I expected it to end like it did. That doesn't make me love the ending any different. But Drew McIntyre getting involved. I'm very interested to see how the fallout comes this weekend. I do believe that Mania match becomes a fatal four-way. I do believe that Cody and Jacob Fatu will be involved to some degree. I don't think Cody's going to beat Drew this weekend. It's going to be a fatal four-way. I do believe that. I believe it's going to be Randy, obviously, versus Drew, versus Cody, versus Jacob Fatu. That's my prediction on it. My friend John believes that Jacob Fatu is going to cost Cody on Friday night, and we're going to get Jacob versus Cody in a singles match at Mania. But no, there's too many wrestlers that are going to have matches on the card, and you're not going to leave Cody Rhodes out of Mania. And I don't think Cody versus Fatu is going to be enough of a match for Mania. So I do believe it's going to be a fatal four-way. We'll see how that goes. But ultimately, I gave this match an 8 out of 10. I felt like there was certain things that could have been done better, but overall, Logan doing what he didn't piss me off as much as I think it pissed off some people. Again, solely because my brain knew it was supposed to be Bronson Reed. As you can see, Rob agreed, gave this match a B. I'm going to say he gave it a 7. I'll be fair there. He would have given a B+ or a high B if it was an 8. Tom gave his match a 7 as well, stating, "It was so painfully obvious that Logan was supposed to be Bronson. If it was Bronson, this match would have been a 9 out of 10, but as it stands, it was only okay. Seth coming back was once again predicted, but the pop he got when taking off the mask was pretty insane. Injuries messed up the storyline, and I get that, but I'm glad we can move on from this masked man stuff and see what Seth does now that he's back." Didn't really comment on the rest of it, but obviously I agree with what he was saying there. As you can see, Kane gave his match a 6 out of 10, stating, someone needs to fire the ref that was watching the door, because good God, he let more people in than a red light district at peak operating hours. He let Seth and Drew in from one elimination, just didn't bother closing the door. My guy must have been on his phone or something. Anyway, this match was fine. Some decent spots, but it was just a little lackluster. While I can appreciate that they didn't just go with Cody out of the other options, it's probably the one option that I'd prefer they didn't do, but we now know it's going to be a multi-man anyway, so sure, why not, I guess. So apparently, I guess what Kane is saying is he actually didn't want it to be Randy, which is kind of surprising. Maybe it's all the weirdness around this match with the unfortunate injuries and writing Jay out, but I just wasn't really into the match much. It wasn't bad, but it just kind of happened until it was time for the run-ins. Cody has a weirdly middling performance for a performer of his standards, seemed a little off tonight. LA Knight had a weird night also. Logan eliminated the two promising young talents, and also LA Knight. Not bad, not great, 6 out of 10, and because of my 8, the 2 7s there, the 6 and the 8 are going to average it out to a 7. So again, if you pretend the box didn't happen, a very good show. If you pretend that the box didn't encapsulate everything that's currently wrong, quote unquote, with the current WWE as a whole, the show wasn't bad. But I definitely agree with Kane's conversations here. I definitely agree with what he was saying there. I don't disagree with him entirely, but I don't also, again, I don't think the ads are quite as big of an issue as Kane sees it, but I know that the internet also sees it that way. And again, that might just be the American in me. I'm used to them. You know, when you're around something so much, you start to get accustomed to it and it stops appearing to be a weird thing. Maybe I'm brainwashed. I don't know. But the ads don't bother me as much as they bother other people, but again, that's the reasoning for it. Overall, not a bad show. 2 8s, 2 7s is going to average out to, what, a 7.5 or something? It's not a bad show if you pretend the box didn't happen. Very interested to see where they go from here. Monday Night Raw is currently on. I'm 15 minutes late, so I'm going to go ahead and catch that now. You guys have a fantastic night. Let me know down below what you guys think about Elimination Chamber, where you think things are going to go. Raw tonight, if you guys want to talk about that, because this is probably going to go up on Tuesday or Wednesday. Depends on when I decide to edit it. You'll know when it's up. But you guys have a fantastic night. I will see you all next time. By the way, for those of y'all that watch my gaming stuff and not just my wrestling stuff, I got a Monopoly video coming out that we did back in Christmas that I've finally finished editing. Fuck Monopoly, fuck Ubisoft, fuck Felipe. You'll know what I'm talking about when you fucking watch the video. That'll be up soon too. So if you like my gaming stuff, watch that. If you're only here for wrestling content, you'll see me again at WrestleMania. Peace.